If you attended workshops, seminars, or social functions, you know one thing we must have is an elevator speech. That personal infomercial that quickly tells folks who you are, what you do, who is a prospect for you, your business, or what job opportunity you're looking for. Today's presenter is a speaker, an international coach, and an author. His books, No Sweat Public Speaking and No Sweat Elevator Speech, are selling internationally and receiving rave reviews on Amazon.com. He has been a TEDx talk coach and interviewed by local, national, and international media. His podcast channel is one of the top 25 public speaking podcasts on the web. He, like many of us, has had his ups and downs with his elevator speech. Years ago, he got serious about crafting one and developed elevator speech templates that work well for him and will get results for you. If your elevator speech has been challenging activity or you want to fine-tune the one you have, our speaker has a message for you. I did a little research and discovered our guest speaker had been in the coffee service business for years. Since he used to sell coffee, I asked him to perk up our meeting and not let it become a grind. I've been told he espressos himself well and would never be considered a drip. Now, I don't want to spill the beans on his talk, and I'm curious, as I'm sure you are, to see and hear what he has brewed up for us. The title of his talk is The Elevator Speech, How to Craft Yours Floor by Floor with No Sweat. Help me welcome my friend, Fred Miller.
Karen, that was a great introduction. Thanks a latte. Come on, I've spoken here before. Let me see if I can get this. Okay, let's see. Whoops. Oh, wow. It's going to show a little different. Let's see. How do you blank it? There. Okay. But before I get started, I want to explain my appearance. So I hurt my wrist. I got some bruises. I spent last Saturday night out at Mercy Hospital. And what happened, it was Saturday. I was running some errands. And I was at Aldi's, made my purchases, going out to my car, and I must have tripped over something. Because the last thing I remember, I'm on a gurney in an ambulance, and the paramedic says, I'm going to start an IV. So I get to Mercy, and they ran all kinds of tests, and one of them was a CAT scan, and they found a brain bleed. Yeah, it sounds pretty serious, and it can be. It was a very small brain bleed, so they kept me overnight, woke me up every 4 hours, and then did another CAT scan in the morning. And that was okay, so I'll be going back. So just cut me a little slack. I may have a little bit of brain fog still. But it is great to be here in Philadelphia at this Kiwanis convention. Thank you for having me. All right, let's see. Elevator music, makes sense. Well, we're going to move. Karen did that, did a great job. Why am I not moving here? Okay, we've all been there. You go to a networking event, social function, or a seminar, and the leader says, you know what, before we get started, let's go around the room. When it's your turn, stand up. Tell us who you are and what you do. Give us your elevator speech. And some of us kind of feel like this person, right? Well, personally, it's always been a religious experience. I'd be saying, please, don't call me first. I know I should have been ready for this. I will next time. And then the elevator speeches start. And some are pretty good. You know, one might be, my name is Don. I'm an estate planning attorney. Been doing it for 25 years. You may have seen me featured in local publications, If you have an estate plan you'd like to have reviewed, or you're looking into one, let's have a conversation. I'd be very comfortable either talking to Don or referring him. Sounds like he has some expertise. And then some are just boring. Hi, I'm Louise. I'm a bookkeeper. Glad to be here. Why would I want to deal with Louise? And why would I want to refer her? She has done nothing that distinguishes herself from anybody who does the same thing. And some are just shocking. I have a friend who does this. I won't tell you his name. He does 6 things, but he'll tell you about 10. And then he'll give case studies and keep talking and talking. And somebody's ringing that little bell. Your time's up, and he keeps talking. Why would I want to deal with him? And others try to be really cute. You know, I'm Bob, your financial plumber. I'm going to show you how to flush all your money problems down the toilet. Really? And maybe you're going to draw circles for me, and that's okay. Some people want to do multi-level, but tell us what you do. You know, if you weren't on the elevator with these people, you'd want to get off, right? All right, so the problem was to come up with a great elevator speech. And I'm fortunate that I found the solution, and I'm going to share it with you. I like that guy. So I've developed the ultimate elevator speech template, plus I'm going to give you a couple of other elevator speeches. But I want to start with a disclaimer. I think this is important. I want to tie this in also with delivering presentations, because I know a lot of you do and a lot of you want to. So I'm going to show you my way to develop a great elevator speech. It works really well for me and lots of people who follow what I do. But I got to tell you, there are others who do it differently. Some do it way differently, and their stuff works too. So my suggestion is to be a sponge, absorb everything, squeeze out what you don't need, and then do it your own way. Now before we end this, I'm going to ask for lessons learned so we can share that. What I found is that we have the attention span of a gnat. So Karen's going to hear something that Karen didn't, and we'll share things in the end. Lessons learned. I'm going to start and give you the backstory of how I developed this elevator speech template. What is an elevator speech? Why have one? What's the next thing? The goals of an elevator speech and the guidelines. I'm going to give you a couple of elevator speeches. All right. Then we're going to talk about delivering that elevator speech. We may not have time for all this. I'll close the presentation. So the backstory, and this is a great backstory. Steve's heard this before. So I was one of the, original members of e4e. And Bill, our founder, came to me one day and he said, "Hey Fred, you're our public speaking expert. How about a presentation to the group next month on how to develop and deliver a great elevator speech?" And I'm thinking to myself, geez, I've always struggled with that. It's always been a work in progress. Well, a couple of things. First of all, when Bill said, "How about?" It wasn't a suggestion.
It was in front of the whole room. I was there.
That's right. It wasn't a question. It was basically my assignment. And I had no idea how I was going to get started on this. Fortunately, the next day I was in my Sandler sales class. And we had a new student, and as the instructor always did, he would announce, "We've got a newbie today. Before we get started, let's stand up, go around the room, give us your elevator speech." Mine was horrible, most of them were. But one person, Roy, who was sitting right next to me, he had a phrase that was so good, everyone wrote it down. And I'll share that with you in a little bit. But that phrase is what sparked the fire in me to develop an elevator speech template. Now, I developed, let's see, what is the elevator speech? Why have one? I think I skipped a slide or something. Let me see. Yeah, I did. So let me go back. I think. Oh, the brain fog, Anyway, an elevator speech, you want to have one because you want to do business. You want to let people do business with you. You also want to have people refer you. So the goals of an elevator speech, the ultimate goal is to have a conversation. And to have a conversation with people who have a sincere desire to find out more. How much do you charge? Is there a guarantee? Do you have terms? Who else uses you? That's the ultimate goal of an elevator speech. So basically what an elevator speech does is sort and sift. you know? First of all, the ultimate one would be somebody hears me speaking and they're thinking, as soon as he's over, I want to talk to him. I've got a big presentation coming up. That's important to me. There are other people who might say, you know what? I don't give presentations. I could care less. But if I ever do, I think I'll have a conversation with Fred and I'll feel comfortable referring him. Referring is also extremely important. And then there's some people out here, and there's about 4 or 5 of you, you don't care. And that's okay. And that's why the other goal, these are people you don't want to deal with. I don't see any here, but you've had those, right? People that you just as soon not deal with. Now, the other goal in elevator speech, you want to disqualify. Everyone's not a prospect. I can't tell you now, maybe somebody can relate to this, but I have wasted more time chasing people I thought were prospects. I used to think as long as you're breathing, you're a prospect. No. No, has anybody ever done that? No. Don't spend major time on minor possibilities. Don't waste their time or your time. And celebrate. When you get rid of those people, celebrate that. So I wanted to develop an elevator speech template, elevator speech that I could speak to larger groups or even one-on-one. So when somebody says, what do? I want to be able to answer that. Now I built this elevator speech on 2 words. One, elevator, build it by the floor. Everyone doesn't want to go to the top floor with you. You don't want to take everyone there. And speech. An elevator speech is a mini presentation. And if you've ever heard me speak before, you'll know my mantra is speaking opportunities are business, career, and leadership opportunities. An elevator speech is a mini speaking opportunity. And let me just stop for a moment and tell a couple of stories. And it's all about stories when you speak. The last time I spoke here, Steve, Regina Crandwell, was in the audience. She does small business for St. Louis County Library. I was at their last conference. I did 3 sessions there in April, and I'm going to be speaking at the next one. Another thing, and thanks for this, Steve, Sandy Waggart, I think that's her name, she has something called Eagle Summit every year. And because Steve had heard me speak, Sandy asked him for some speakers for Eagle Summit, which is a big deal. I had no idea how big a deal that is. I'm also going to speak there this coming October. So speaking opportunities are business, career, and leadership opportunities. So here's some of the guidelines. The goal of all communication, verbal, written, or visual is the same. We want the recipients as quickly as possible to get it. Because if they don't get it and know what you do, they're certainly not going to hire you and they're not going to refer you. Another guideline, no selling. Selling, if it is to occur, will occur later. The elevator speech is just for sorting and sifting. It also has to have three things. It has to be clear, concise, and consistent. So clarity is not an option, because if you hear my elevator speech and you're thinking, I have no idea what he's talking about, I don't know what those words mean, you're not going to hire me, you're not going to refer me. It has to be short. What I've learned as I've gone through this, less is more. People want it right away, right? They don't want a big speech. The other thing is got to be consistent, because if you hear me give my elevator speech today, and you see me in a different venue, and I give a different one, there's a disconnect. You don't know what I do, and you're certainly not going to hire me or refer me. So the bottom line is that an elevator speech should be clear, concise, and make an impact on someone. So I'm going to give you my ultimate elevator speech, and then we'll go through the floors. Whoops, that's it. I speak, coach, write about. Let me blank. Okay, so I've got a big group like this. I give you my ultimate elevator speech. I'm Fred Miller. I'm a speaker, coach, and an author. The title of my first book is No Sweat Public Speaking. Businesses, individuals, and organizations hire me because they want to improve their networking, public speaking, and presentation skills. They do that because they know. speaking opportunities are business, career, and leadership opportunities. They also know we perceive really good speakers as experts, right? We like to work with experts. Experts command more money for their products and services. I show them how to develop, practice, and deliver outstanding presentations with no sweat. So people should know exactly what I do. So that elevator speech should be something you can give to large groups, small groups, and one-on-one. It's also something you can give to organizations, volunteer organizations, all kinds. And also, besides giving it an elevator, give it an escalator, moving sidewalk, stairs. Okay, I want to give you an example of an elevator speech that was not really an elevator speech, but it's dynamite. I had a 1998 Ford Explorer. I had 130,000 miles on it. Loved that car. And I needed brakes. And I put out word to friends and family, do you know an independent mechanic? I didn't want to take her to a dealer. And I got Danny's name. And I called up Danny, told him what he needed, and he said, yeah, I can do that. And then I started asking all kinds of questions about cars. I know nothing about cars. At a certain point, Danny just stopped me and said, Fred, I went to Rankin Technical. I'm ASE certified. You're in good hands. I said, Danny, can we do this Saturday? I didn't even ask his price. He was dynamite. But just with those few words, I went to Rankin. We're all familiar with Rankin, right? Here in St. Louis, national reputation, ASE certification. You've seen that logo in professional garages. And the guy did a ton of work for me. I'd go out with him to buy parts. I didn't care whether he bought the most expensive or the cheapest. And he was so honest that one time he said, you know, your next repair is going to cost more than the vehicle is worth. Does anybody remember cash for clunkers? Yeah. All right, well, I took advantage of it. Thank you, taxpayers. So I did that. So I gave that elevator speech. So let's go through. I know, he went into the elevator, didn't he? So as I go through this floor by floor, put it in your world. I'm Fred Miller. Now that's my name, first floor. I've got a very simple name. I have a friend, Mike Ramatoski. My advice to Mike is say, hi, my name is Mike. Because by the time they say, Ramatoski, is it S-K-Y, is it S-K-I, I know any Ramatoskis? Well, there's only a few floors in this elevator speech. You know, if they want to know more, they will seek you out. They don't have to do it. So go through that. Let's go to the next floor. I speak, coach, and write about networking, public speaking, and presentation skills. 3 simple words. And you should be asking yourself, what does he speak about? What does he coach? And what does he write about? 3 is really, really important. You don't want to have more than that. I'm sure you've heard some people, they'll go on and on, tell you all the things they do. And at one point you think, well, gosh, I guess I'll rotate my tires, clean my gutters. You heard people like that? You know? Now, I talked to Brian earlier. I always remember Brian's elevator speech. He hit the bullseye of the bullseye. He does contracts. Always, right, Brian? Contracts. And you might ask about, I remember when you took some Q&A and people say, well, what about somebody who might need a criminal lawyer? No, I do contracts. And you may do some of this other stuff, but if you think about contracts, you think of Brian. And in your world, you may do a lot of other things, but have them think of you as being that person for that specific thing. Does that work for everybody? That's really, really important. All right, and then you want to have clarity. So I talked about, senior technical manager. What is that? System analyst. What kind of systems? Some kind of production system, digestive system, training designer. What kind of corporate training, dog training, IT professional. You want to have clarity. People have to know what you do. Now, the title of my first book is No Sweat Public Speaking. How many people have written books? It's huge. It's absolute credibility. And my suggestion to people who have not written them, and write this into your introduction always also, is to say the title of my upcoming book is. Let me tell you the story. I was speaking to the Fenton Chamber, and I never forget, I wrote that introduction, first time I said that I had a book coming out, and the guy's reading my introduction, he goes, and the title of his upcoming book is, you have a book coming out? I do, yeah. He said, that's amazing. So have a book coming out. This is huge. We perceive speakers and writers as experts. Don't be shy about that. And if you have special skills, celebrate those skills. I know somebody who does QuickBooks and they have a very specific niche of it that they are the expert. That's what they're known for. Celebrate those things. Years in an industry. Now, if you have certifications, anybody have a certification? Well, you want to, don't just put that alphabet stuff. Tell people what it is. You know, different degrees, patents. People like being with owners, founders. Those are really, really important. And sometimes we're so close to ourselves, we don't realize that the perception people have of it. Owner, general partner, right. So, people hire me because they want to improve their networking, public speaking, and presentation skills. Hire me is the phrase that my friend used in that Sandler sales class. Everybody wrote that down. Because most people say, I work with companies. I help people. You know, that's kind of wishy-washy, and besides, it sounds like you're independently wealthy. You're like, yeah, come here, I'll help you for nothing. What hire me says is, you know what? I'm really good at this. I'm proud of it, and you know what else? I don't do it for free. And if that disqualifies people, fantastic. We already talked about the fact everybody is not a prospect. Now, if you're not comfortable saying hire me, don't say it, because it will come out that way. But you could use other things like put me on their payroll, write me checks. I know somebody in real estate. I talked to a real estate group the other day. The lady says, people buying and selling homes choose me. Choose me is wonderful. I thought about Southwest Airlines. When that plane lands, the pilot always says, thank you for flying Southwest Airlines. We know you have many choices when you fly. That's dynamite. Now the other word is because. Because is an influencer word. So businesses, individuals, and organizations hire me because. And if you think about because, well, when you were a kid and you say, well, Mom, why do I have to? Because I said so. Because it's the right thing to do. Because you're going to do it. Okay, I'm getting the signal here. Okay, fifth floor is your why. This is the DNA of your elevator speech. Absolutely. You've heard of Simon Sinek's Golden Circle? People don't buy, I'm not going to play it. It's the DNA of your elevator speech. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So my why is speaking opportunities are business, career, and leadership opportunities. If that doesn't apply to you, that's fine. That's fine, but look, let's not waste each other's time. Has anybody else dealt with that why? Do they know what their why is? It changes everything, doesn't it? Absolutely. And being able to disqualify plus your why, that's a big deal. And the other thing, a little more expertise, people perceive speakers as experts. We like to work with experts. Seventh floor, this is my USP, my ultimate selling proposition. I show them how to develop, practice, and deliver outstanding presentations with no sweat. And I could ask if I'm one-on-one, enough about me, what do the folks at your place do about public speaking and presentation skills training? So this is the template. If you email me, fred@nosweatpublicspeaking.com, I'll send you that template, and you can make it work for yourself. But it's just a tool. You know, you can use it a lot of different ways. Somebody says, what do you do? What I might say, well, let me just back up. I could just say, who believes speaking opportunities are business, career, and leadership opportunities? I speak, coach, and write about networking, public speaking, and presentation skills. I want to give another one, kind of the express elevator speech. This can also disqualify. Somebody says, Les, ask me what I do.
What do you do, Fred?
Les, thank you for asking. I'm going to answer your question by asking you one. Have you ever been to an event and you're watching and listening to the speaker and you're thinking to yourself, boy, that guy's good. I mean, he's really good. He's articulate, authentic, very entertaining. Obviously, the guy has a passion for what he's doing, and I'm getting a lot out of this presentation. Man, I wish I could do that. I'm the guy people hire to develop, practice, and deliver presentations like that. That's called a pattern interrupt, just something that's a little bit different that gets people's attention, rather than just give your name and what you do. So basically, you answer a question, give your why, and give another question. This is a template for that. I'll send you that template also. And sometimes it's a big group, time is limited, and we need a Twitter-type elevator speech. Whoops. So I speak, coach, and write about networking, public speaking, and presentation skills. Let me give a quick way to test and see if you have a great elevator speech. Develop that elevator speech, but you gotta practice it, tweak it, practice it, tweak it. Give that elevator speech to somebody who has no idea who you are or what you do. Have that person give it to someone else who has no idea who you are and what you do, and then have them give it back to you. And if it comes back the way you want it, you've nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. That's the best way to test that. So before I close, let me take any questions. Does this make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
All right. So what questions do you have for me? No questions. Yes, sir.
I wanted to say, I want to give you my takeaway, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
If it's a nice one. Be kind. Remember, I got blame for you here.
The people hire me because I think is really powerful. Because as a hypnotist, people will say, like, oh, I'd love to pick your brain. It's like, that's what I get paid for.
Yeah.
Have my brain picked.
Oh, absolutely. And if it disqualifies, and sometimes I get a negative reaction. Somebody says, ooh, that hired me. You know, you got a little attitude with it. And I'll say, well, are we finished? No, I like that. Or some people may not like it, and that's fine. That's fine. No, that was a game changer saying hire me. And it's so different because then when you think about work with companies, help people. Les.
I just want to piggyback on what Matt just got done saying, the word because, how powerful it is. I read this piece about some research that was done to see the impact of the word because. And it was people at a bank standing in line, and the person at the back came up to the front and said, can I cut in front of you? They said, no goddamn way. Instead, when he said, can I cut in front of you because I have to X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
almost every time they let him in.
It's huge. Those two words, hire me and because.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? Yes, sir.
I've got a question. So you've got the different floors. What do you do to let people off the elevator if they're not qualified?
What do you Well, kind of, you hope when you say hire me, you get a look on their face, you say, you know, sounds like we're not gonna work together, and that's fine, yeah. And also, you know, in any communication, it's a two-way street, so even here, I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm looking at body language, facial expressions. Yeah, you wanna cut it as quickly, short as possible, especially when it's working one-on-one. Because a lot of times, you know, you go to an event and the rules are kind of arrive early and network, and you wind up spending all that time with one person. So we call that Velcro networking. And you want to have a getaway plan, get away from them. Don't waste their time. You know, and what that verbiage might be is, excuse me, I've committed myself to meeting 5 new people before the speaker comes on. You're number 2. Good luck to you.
Yes.
And move on. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
The takeaway for me was how the elevator pitch could be used as a conversation starter. Like for me, I really thought I had to like word vomit what I do, and that was huge. So thank you for sharing that. That's the
Thank you.
biggest takeaway.
Yeah, you want, and it's not just what you say, it's the way you say it. You know, in terms of the presentation, and again, an elevator speech is a mini presentation. There's content and delivery. Content is the message, delivery is presenting it. Delivery surpasses content. And on the delivery side, There's verbal communication and nonverbal, gestures, facial expressions, body language. People believe what they see. So it's your whole persona that tells a story. And you want to look professional, be proud of what you do, and disqualifying is a great thing. And comments, questions? Okay. Well, let me close with this. Get my templates and work on that elevator speech. Work on it, tweak it, work on it, tweak it. Good way to practice, film yourself, full body. First time you go back to it, turn the sound off. Just watch your body movements. You know, maybe you're doing something like this, you know, fig leaf, Superman. Anyway, just watch it. Second time, just listen. How is your enunciation and pronunciation? How are your pauses? How's your inflection? Third time, watch it, video and audio. You'll see and hear what your audience will see and hear. Then when you have that speech tested, go to an event. Go to an event, and my prediction is this. When the leader says, you know what, before we get started, we're going to go around the room. When it's your turn, stand up, tell us who you are and what you do, give us your elevator speech. I guarantee your elevator speech will be absolutely, positively, there's no doubt in my mind, that elevator speech will be no sweat. Thank you.